Trent and Biz together here for a Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. We take a look at the Iowa basketball team, a fun one, and fun Iowa offense on the football field. We break it down today. Locked On Hawkeyes.
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. I'm Trent Condon. That's Biz, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We're available wherever you find your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. While you're there, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Helps us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Biz, fun football, fun basketball, even in a loss. Iowa women, though they do not get to number one in the AP poll, a nice start to the season. It's all coming up Hawkeyes here this week.
Yeah, good time to be a Hawk right now. It's been a fun, it's been a fun couple weeks after, let's be honest. Watching Iowa football wasn't exactly fun for the first 2 months. But last week, Saturday was sure fun. And like you said, both men and women's basketball, that's about as fun a brand of basketball as you're gonna get to see. So, been enjoyable. Let's hope let's ride the wave.
Let's start with some football. And first, to look back at the win against Rutgers. And for the first quarter, it was kind of more of the same. Deacon Hill gets off to a 1-for-5 start throwing the football, a couple of hideous ones in there. And then all of a sudden in the second quarter, got the wind at his back, hit a couple of passes, one on a drag route to Estrenga, also was able to find Nico Raggiini. And all of a sudden you could see him getting a little more comfortable out there, starting to make the makeables, something that just has not even been a part of what he's been able to do out there. Though he threw that terrible interception late in the first half, you could definitely see maybe the confidence starting to build with Deacon Hill.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Trent. I didn't think he had it in him, but he looked great. I mean, and that's not an exaggeration to say great. And credit to our offensive line. They gave him a ton of time, but he looked just really comfortable in the pocket. He had a great presence and went to the second, third read a couple of times. And, it was that's not a bad defense either. Rutgers is a good football team, and they they've given fits to a lot better quarterbacks than Deacon Hill, that's for sure. So, impressive all around. I mean, the question now is, was it a fluke or can he keep it up? But, for 1 week at least, he looked like a completely serviceable or maybe even better Big Ten quarterback. So, fun to watch. My favorite thing about Saturday was literally exactly what you want to see out of Iowa football. It was a physical game, a physical brand of football, offensive line, great across the board, run blocking, pass blocking, but there was also creativity. We ran some jet sweep options out of there. We also did a lot of 5 wide. I think I saw somewhere that the Deacon Hill was like 7 for 7 on 5 wide situations, or 6 for 7. I think the one he hit Jazz in the face mask, I think, was the only miss. But just creative, but power-based football, and that's what you want to see out of Iowa football. So I hope it wasn't a fluke. Let's hope it was the beginning of a month where our offense actually shows some glimmer of hope going forward.
I was talking to a high school football coach this week, and one thing that he mentioned, and obviously knows kind of a little bit deeper than the knowledge that we have, he said his footwork was completely different than anything that he's seen at any point in his career. When you mentioned the time that he had, that helps with your footwork, but the ability for him, and maybe it's just as simple as that, a guy that's gone through now a lot more reps, getting that after the bye week and figuring out a way just to get the simple things that I think we take for granted, but footwork, and that leads to the accuracy. He said his footwork was as good as he ever saw, and it makes a whole lot of sense when you hear something like that.
I'm really impressed with his footwork in the bootleg game. He just looks really comfortable bootleg. There was a play, I think it was third quarter or fourth quarter, where he bootleg out. We had 2 guys open in the bootleg. He could have easily checked down and thrown a 2-yard pass and made it easy. Instead, he confidently threw a 12, 15-yard out, and we got 18 yards on the play, and just made it look easy. I mean, that's a play 3 weeks ago. He probably throws that into the third row, and we're wondering why in the world didn't he just check it down? And it's just one of many plays where you look at it, and just, like I said, I didn't think he had it in him, but I mean, I don't think it was a fluke. I think is he going to look that great going forward? Probably not. But I mean, there was enough evidence on Saturday to show that I think he can be a capable quarterback going forward.
So we also saw the emergence of Caleb Brown. You mentioned the jet sweep, using him a couple of different times in that. The 2-point conversion that wasn't, and Kirk was still salty about that in the Tuesday press conferences. He wasn't real pleased and doesn't know what we're doing with replay and thinks that's something that needs to be reevaluated there. Had the touchdown. You can see why he was in the Ohio State wide receiver room, why it may be the deepest wide receiver room in college football history a year ago. He played 4 games as a true freshman. This dude's super talented, and he's got speed, obviously, but there's a power to his game, and you can see why he's a good running back in high school, too. He's still figuring it out, but for a guy, it would have been very easy. Had the game that he sat out, that he would have tucked his tail and called it good and sat out next year and gone somewhere else. He's put in the work. He's done everything necessary, and it's great to see a guy now being rewarded with that and what looks to be a really big playmaker for Iowa.
Yeah, first, amen to Kirk on the replay stuff. I've gotten to the point where I can't stand any video replays. Like, to me, the point of replay is to fix indisputable mistakes. And to me, if it takes more than 30 seconds, it's not indisputable. Because if you have to look at it from 3 or 4 different angles, somebody's going to disagree with you. If it's not indisputable, then don't change it. And I'm tired of it. I know I'm pissing into the wind here. It's not going to change. But to me, after 30 seconds, the video should just shut off. If you haven't made your decision in 30 seconds, then stick with what was on the field. It's not meant to be like the JFK film where you're slowing it down to super slow-mo to determine, do they miss it by this much? I mean, if it's wrong, fix it. If they step out of bounds blatantly, obviously, and you missed it, if they drop it and you blatantly, obviously missed it, great, fix it. Outside of that, don't mess with it. It's just, I know I'm complaining for just complaining's sake because it's not going to get fixed. But there's my rant. But yeah, Caleb Brown, I mean, I'm hoping this is the kid that's finally getting it. It sounds like the first half of the year he wasn't real committed and was doing some things that you don't like to see, young guys doing. But it certainly seems like maybe he's earned his right to be on the field now. I mean, that's something that I know a certain part of our fan base gets mad about that, but I love that. I love the fact that you can't just walk in and just jump over people. You got to earn your way onto the field at Iowa, and that's part of the reason I think is part of our culture and part of the reason we've been a consistently successful team, because you're not just given a free ride. You got to prove yourself, and it seems like maybe, knock on wood, he has proved himself over the last month, and he's earned some trust because he's now listed as the starter, which is amazing considering 3 weeks ago he wasn't on the depth chart.
Yeah, it's great to see now a starter with the injury to Deontay Vines. The defense pitches a shutout, and it takes us through the first segment before we even get into that defense. They've given up 1 touchdown over the last month, plus they're playing at an incredibly high level. We'll talk about that defense as we continue, plus get into a little Iowa basketball. Though it was a loss Tuesday night against Creighton, they are playing at a really, really high level. Fun team to watch. We'll get into the Hoopsters as well as we continue. This is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. With my small business, every once in a while, you need to find somebody to fill a role. LinkedIn Jobs is the easy way to create a free job post on their website. All you do, add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile. That spreads the word that you're hiring. They have simple tools like screening questions that make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 versus leading competitors in delivering quality hires. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free. at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Again, that's linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Today's episode is also brought to you by Athletic Brewing. Time for our game changer of the week, brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. And much like Caleb Brown, Athletic Brewing has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. Caleb Brown, the game changer from last week against Rutgers, jet sweeps, the ability to get into the end zone, late to put the football game away, an emergence of a big-time wide receiver. That's big for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Your game changer of the week, brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. They're full-flavored, well-crafted, and just like full-strength beer. Their brews are great tasting and award-winning and beat out full-strength beers in global competitions. And no hangovers ever. You can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic brews at a store near you or buy them online. athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers, use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off your first online order. Again, that's code LOCKEDON at checkout for 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. Near beer, exclusions and conditions apply. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times. Trent and Biz back with you once again on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. Biz, we go through our first 10-minute conversation. We don't talk about the defense that pitched a shutout. They've given up one touchdown. That was on a short field against Northwestern over the last month. This was a defense that, for Iowa standards, Phil Parker standards, was kind of average at the beginning of the season. Is it the competition that they faced over the last month, or how great do you believe this Iowa defense is?
It's you run out of adjectives to describe how great Phil Parker is anymore. I mean, I thought a month ago this team was above average at defense, but I mean, what they've done the last month is crazy, because not only are they shutting people out and not giving up touchdowns, they're not really creating a lot of turnovers. I mean, they're doing it by just completely shutting people down. I mean, I think our defense is so respected now that people realize, like, we can't be risky against Iowa. The best Penn State made the blueprint for beating Iowa, which is be methodical, push it down our throats, and just be patient. But the thing is, there aren't many teams in the Big Ten that have the talent to do that. There's probably three of them. I mean, you're talking Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State. Outside of that, you saw Rutgers. They tried to be patient. They tried to do those types of things, but they're so much better than they were a month ago. And it's just amazing to me how that can be, because, they've, like I said, at some point you just run out of adjectives or descriptions for how great Phil Parker is as a coach, because I see we're back down to or slightly under 4 yards per play again, which no team had done that at all in 12 years, and now we're going to do it 2 years in a row probably, because, I don't see Illinois or Nebraska really exploding on us. I mean, Illinois might score some points, but I see bizarrely they decided to go back to Luke Altmaier at quarterback today. That guy's a turnover machine. So I hope Bert's not lying. I hope Altmaier is the quarterback, because I like our chances a lot better if that guy's behind center.
Yeah, that one was absolutely baffling, the decision after a guy throws for 500 yards. Nope, we're going back to Altmaier. Is NIL a thing there? Who knows? That was a weird one, no doubt about it. Well, let's talk about this basketball team. They lose on Tuesday night to Creighton. And, outside of stretch at the beginning of the second half, another one after they cut it to 6, this team played really well. That's a really talented Creighton team. You go into their building, 16,000 people in there, and the freshmen didn't look out of place. Perkins came up, I thought, big in some big moments. You saw a little bit of everything from this team. Now, of course, Fran's at Sanford, and he plays 18 minutes of the game, but that's a conversation I know we'll have throughout the course of the season. I walked away much more optimistic about this basketball team, certainly, than I was coming into the year.
Yeah, and through 3 games, Trent, it's not an exaggeration. I love this team. They're so fun to watch. Fran's teams have always been enjoyable on offense, but this team seems really connected on offense right now. Everybody seems to know and understand and embrace their role, both starters and the young guys. It's just, they really, they're fun to watch. And, last night, like you said, that things got away from us the second half. But I think that more than anything was just a credit to Creighton than us. I mean, I actually thought our defense, for the most part, we forced them into difficult shots, and I thought we defended the post pretty well. And second half, they just moved the ball unbelievably well. They made 2 or 3 passes. And I was like, wow, that's that is a high level pass to get it to a guy open, and then they made shots. I mean, they were on fire to start the second half. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, is this team going to be great? No, but I mean, they seem to at least be putting in the effort on the defensive end, and they seem to be really well connected on the offensive end. And as you've seen, the Big Ten seems to be pretty damn average this year. Yeah. So, I just really enjoy this team. I can't remember, when's the last time, Trent, you can remember 4 Iowa hitting on 4 freshmen and looking at them 3 games of the year saying, hey, all 4 of these guys have a chance to be really, really good Big Ten players.
Yeah. I don't know if it's happened in a super long time, because you even go through when they signed.
It feels like a stat boy question. We need to get.
It does. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, usually Iowa hits on 1 or 2 in a class, but to go 4 for 4, and I mean, obviously 3 games, it's very premature, but man, they all 4 look like they got some talent, and they don't look overwhelmed at all.
Owen Freeman was the only one of the, I guess, regulars. Price Sanford also had a positive plus minus, but Owen Freeman had by far the highest. He was plus 10 in there, and he saw late in the game, they went with Perkins at the point. It was Sanford at the 2, Patrick played the 3, Freeman at the 4, and Cricky at the 5. And that's probably a lineup against Lake Purdue. They're probably going to have to use that kind of lineup often. That group of freshmen, when they play together, they had Dix out there with them. I thought they played really well. When they got down 17, that was a group that got them right back with a quick 7-0 run. So they're not overwhelmed. For 4 freshmen, basically playing together with Dix, who was limited last year with the injury, to come in there in that environment, you're right. The future looks really, really good. They got 2 top 75 players coming in next year. It's really exciting what they have going forward. And for this team, I didn't think they'd even, middle of February, have a realistic shot of even being a bubble team. Not the case anymore. Now, you got to go down to San Diego and probably beat Oklahoma, and maybe you can get 2 wins down there. The likelihood of beating Purdue in December on the road, not very high. The Iowa State game in Hilton is going to be a bear there. Got to beat Michigan in that other December conference game. But, you do something like that, you build yourself up and have a real chance of giving yourself a shot. And that's a fun place to be with what's to be a really fun team. And can they be just a tick better defensively? Certainly better than I thought they were going to be at this point.
Just that energy level of that second group is fun to watch. And, I know in the past, you and I think most Iowa fans have thought that Fran probably plays too many players. But this year, I'm totally fine with him playing 10 all year long for 2 reasons. One, I think it does help us defensively because it keeps people fresh. But second, I think they all deserve it. I think they're all playing good basketball right now. And I'm totally fine with doing, starters play 25 minutes. That backup group plays 15 minutes. You give them that, 5 to 6 minute stretch in the middle. And if they're playing well, you expend it, like they did last night in the second half. Extend it out and make it 8 to 9 minutes. But I mean, I can't remember the last time that every player that Fran plays, you're like, oh, I see why they're playing. Usually by this point, we're like, this guy needs to stop playing, or we need to narrow down the rotation. But guys like, I thought DeSante Bowen, I don't think he scored a single point last night, but I thought he did a great job of getting into the lane, facilitating. I thought he played well last night. I thought Patrick, he was much more aggressive, much stronger around the hoop. I just think he looks a little more, comfortable, I guess, than he did last year. I don't know if that's part of it's the mental side of things, but I mean, he just looks more comfortable. And then, what you're getting with, when you get a confident Tony and a confident Peyton, I mean, they're both walking buckets when they have their confidence going. So if they can keep this confidence up, are they going to be, are they going to be a top 10 team? No, but can they make the tournament where they played last night? Absolutely.
Iowa women do not get to number 1. We'll get to that in just a moment. Before that, want to tell you Locked On has launched our first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for your 24/7 covering the top stories of the day with local experts on Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Biz, the basketball team on the women's side, thought they were going to head to number 1 after UConn goes down on Sunday. Earlier in the week, of course, LSU fell, but South Carolina jumps over them to get to the number 1 spot. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter, but I don't know. It was just one of those things. It felt like almost a foregone conclusion, and then you see South Carolina number 1.
Yeah, well, and I'll just say, Trent, 2 things. One, South Carolina should be number 1. They absolutely annihilated 2 top 15 teams. And number 2, who cares? Like, I just this blows my mind that there's a portion of honestly, it's kind of an embarrassing portion of our fan base. It drives me nuts because you just know that they're going to get mad, and there's a certain portion of our fan base that wants to bring race into these things, and it's just embarrassing. Like the whole stuff with LSU and South Carolina, all of it just makes me cringe. But for that part of our fan base, just enjoy what we have. We've got a damn good basketball team. I couldn't care less if we're ranked 50th right now. It doesn't matter. Like, just play good basketball, and the rest of it will work out in the end. So I don't know. People get worked up by that stuff, and I guess it's good to have a passionate fan base. But man, there's a certain aspect of our fan base that just drives me nuts with their stupidity sometimes. Like, just look at it objectively. South Carolina should be number 1 right now. They have 2 dominating wins. Yes, we have 1, but I mean, our win came down to the last minute. They absolutely throttled 2 basketball powers, and so they should be number 1. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. But again, I don't care. What I do care is that, man, Iowa women's basketball is awful fun to watch. I'm very excited to go watch 2 games this week. We'll be there in person both Thursday and Sunday, and it's amazing. We're talking about how we need to get there. We need to go eat at Wigan Pen beforehand because it's impossible to find parking for women's basketball. It's pretty cool to think that you have to make advanced plans to get into Carver to watch the women's team play.
Yeah, we have definitely come a long way from what it once was for Iowa women's basketball. With that, Biz, we will make our picks for the week, our lock of the week. Didn't go so well for you last week. I got the T-box this week because I had UNLV. You had Kentucky last week, and we'll talk about the point spread as well for the Iowa game. It's all presented by FanDuel. We'll do that as we continue. This is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way to play DFS is just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more or less of a 2 to 6 player stat projection and watch the winnings roll in. So coming up, I took a look at it this week, and very simply, I'm just going to go quarterbacks in the NFL. Joe Burrow, more or less, 262.5 is the number passing yards on Thursday night as they face off against Baltimore. We're going to go less on that one. Dak Prescott, more or less 269.5 against Carolina. I'm going less on that one. We are going to go a bit higher on one, and we are going to go higher than 230.5 for Kyler Murray against Houston. You put them all together and a chance for you to get big wins coming in to your PrizePicks account. Really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege with the code LockedOnCollege for that first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy with PrizePicks. Trent and Biz back with you one final time on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. All right, Biz, time to get into our picks of the week. We make our lock of the week and then take a look at the Iowa-Illinois game as they get ready to face off Saturday in Kinnick. A cool note on that, Biz. This is going to be the last time there's a chance that a trophy will be awarded on the field at Kinnick Stadium. You know what I'm saying? Because going forward, even if Iowa gets to a Big Ten championship, they're not going to give them a trophy for getting a spot in the Big Ten championship with no divisions. This will be the last time a trophy presentation can happen on the field, at least in the current construction of the Big Ten.
So I think you and I, were we both there for the last 2? Because you were there in 04 for Wisconsin and then 15. the snowy game for Purdue. So it'd be we don't take for granted, this doesn't happen very often in Iowa football. So if it happens, it'd be the third time in 20 years that there'd be a trophy on the field at Kinnick. So, I know this year has been a bizarre year, but to be in the situation we are right now, to lock up the Big Ten West with a week to go is pretty awesome. I mean, and it's a credit to the program and a credit to the coaches and the players for blocking out all the outside noise and doing what they needed to do. And, I saw that Kirk is now won 17. I lost 18 in November. Whatever you say about our program, that's an amazing stat. Yeah. That says everything you need to know about Iowa football. When you win 17 out of 18 in November, you're doing something right.
And definitely the case right now for this Hawkeye team. Let's try to make it 18 of 19 against Illinois. The Hawkeyes are a 3-point favorite currently at FanDuel. The over-under sits at 30.5. And I don't know, that decision that we heard from Bielema to go back to Altmaier, that made me certainly more confident going into this game. What we saw in the fourth quarter and really the last 3 quarters out of this offense, Illinois can score, okay, but that defense just hasn't clicked this year. And are they going to be capable of coming in there? We know Bielema is going to have his team fired up. I mean, that's not a surprise, but where was your concern level right now? If you had to make a bet on Iowa or Illinois, where would you be?
I actually like the over, Trent. I think not saying it's going to be a shootout, but I think Illinois, I think they'll come in with kind of a we got nothing to lose mentality. I think they will take some shots. I think they'll be a little more risky than what we saw with Rutgers and a few other teams. And I think that might lead to a couple of things. One, they may score some points, but I think they're also going to make some boneheaded mistakes, and we might see a defensive touchdown or some turnovers. So I can see this one getting a little wilder than I don't see Bielema coming in and playing this close to the vest. I think he's going to take some shots, and that may work, or it may blow up in his face. So I was surprised. I thought this spread might be closer to 35, just because you look at Illinois the last few weeks, they've put up a lot of points, but they can't stop anyone. So do I think we're going to score a lot of points? No, but do I think we can get 20, 25 again? Sure. So, would it surprise me if we won 24-13? That's a pretty easy cover. So, or over. So I like the over, and I don't say that very often. So bet the over on Iowa football, Trent.
My lock of the week this week is in a good Pac-12.
Oh, wait, that's not my lock of the week, by the way.
Okay, yeah. I'm going Washington, Oregon State. Give me the Beavers here. This thing keeps getting steam. It's up to 2.5 now. Luckily, I got it earlier in the week at 1 when I locked that one in. But for our purposes, we do it as we talk, and 2.5 is the number. Gonna lay it, and I think Oregon State gets a win. Obviously, the undefeated run ends for Washington, a team that, since that Oregon game, just hasn't played great football.
Give me KU, Trent. The old Sunflower State battle. Rivalry game. 2 good football teams. KU stubbed their toe a couple of times, but I think they're a good team. You give me more than a touchdown at home in a rivalry game, I'll take it every time. So Kansas State's favored by 8.5. I think Kansas State will find a way to win the game, but I think it'll be a 1 score or less game. So give me KU plus 8.5.
All right, Kansas and Oregon State are locks of the week. Biz.
2 football powerhouses, Trent.
Yes. We're really going after the who's who of college football in that one. Biz, I will see you on Friday night after I make my way down to Iowa City.
No, you won't. I'm going to be asleep by the time you get there.
It's got a late night.
Midnight. So.
And we got an early morning right around the corner on top of it. But looking forward to that. Our annual Floyd of Boner tournament, our big bead mag tournament that we have. And we got a few extras coming in this year, which is great to see. A lot of our friends that don't make it to a lot of the games going to be there. Should be a really fun time on Saturday. And let's bring home a trophy.
Yeah, it should be mid-50s and sunny for late November. So we'll take it, Trent. So let's hope for a Floyd of Boner trophy and a Big Ten West trophy all in one day.
That's how Boner would have wanted it. We'll see you on Friday night, Biz.
All right, go Hawks.